Hi, guys, and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. We are finishing up season 8 already. This is amazing. You guys keep listening, and we keep getting great guests. And one of our amazing guests today, her name is Julie Wilson, and she's been through a journey and she helps people going through their journey. Is what is so amazing. So she's an energy healer and she helps people find, I guess, your purpose, right? So welcome.
So
I am
much.
so excited to have you here. So before we get started diving in on that journey, I have a quick question for you. How many weddings have you been to in the last 20 years?
About 6, I'd say. I'm
Six?
remem
Okay. And then usually, like, at the ceremony part, when you're walking in, what is that thing that people have to sign?
the guest book.
Yes. Okay. So lifeonrecord.com is one of the sponsors for Keep Hope Alive podcast. And what they do is basically they're replacing that guest book and they have a vintage rotary phone that is there. So people will pick up the phone and say, "Congratulations on your marriage. You guys are the best couple." So they're collecting all the guesses, appreciation, love, best wishes, and everything. And right next to the phone, they put up a QR code. So they can definitely get their own cell phone, scan that, and use their phone to leave a message either before or after the wedding, too. And I always say wedding because usually that's where we find the guest book, but I want to say you can use this for any event. And the collection of voices is something that is so important to life. And I want to add this to my commercial for them because, you know, just hearing somebody's voice again, whether living here still or even passed on, and just hearing that in the best wishes, it makes you feel so good. So after they collect all those messages, they burn it on a 10-inch vinyl record, or they have a cute little boom box they put them in. And you get this phone number for 1 year. And then on top of that, the plans only start at $99. I think that's a great deal. So you get the phone number that long, you get to hear everybody's voice, maybe when you're celebrating a 1 year anniversary. So I want you guys to go to www.lifeonrecord.com and check them out. So, all right, Julie. Well, who is Julie Wilson? Tell us about you and what you do.
Okay, so I am a very happy person, I would say, if you want to just, throw it out there. I'm a mom to a 10-year-old. We homeschool. We spend a lot of time together as a family. I started my healing journey several years ago. I got married in 2009 to my soulmate. So everything was going along great. And then I couldn't get pregnant. So that started this quest to figure out what was going on. I was having ovarian cyst pain and endometriosis, and I ended up having to have a surgery. And so, I'm really into holistic medicine, but I feel like Western medicine also has its time and place. So for that, I wasn't into my gifts enough to really understand how to heal my body. So the surgery seemed like the next, thing. And I knew I was destined to be a mom. My daughter started coming to me before I was even, pregnant. So ended up getting pregnant. When she got here, that hyper sped my healing journey. I was all of a sudden felt like I was losing my mind. It was like dark night of the soul. I was connected in with my higher self and with spirits and with energies, and I didn't really know how to navigate any of it. I really didn't have like healing communities online. I didn't know where to go. And so I found a healer, and she was a shamanic Reiki healer, and she did one session on me, and I was like, am I losing my mind? And she's like, no, sweetie, your gifts are just coming online. You're going to be fine. And I was like, okay, I have to know everything about this because it felt so good to, connect in and to get back to she took me back to my inner child and, some of that childlike joy. And so I started learning everything: the Akashic records, DNA activations, past life work, my own childhood sexual trauma, like digging into that, womb healing, things of that nature. And so it kind of just, as I went and as I learned things I wanted to share. So then I started working with people on, how to connect with their purpose, their galactic history, just like who they are, who we are, because we're definitely not just this human body, we're so multifaceted. So that's, yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of like a little bit about me.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I love that you said you were seeing your daughter before she even came. And doctors sometimes, well, most of the time, like they told me I couldn't get pregnant at all. Like, and there was no real reason why. And I was so sad, depressed. But I took that energy of feeling that and turned it into a workout. And I remember out of 3 months, I lost like 36 pounds. I was jogging, running on the treadmill, swimming. That was my workout. And then what was it? I grew up with epilepsy. I was on the jogging trail and I had a seizure and I fell. They took me to the hospital and they were like, "Oh, okay, you're fine to go. No big deal." And then when I got home, I had this feeling like I just wanted to go get checked out by a doctor, but which one? So I ended up going to my gynecologist just to run blood work. And of course, it's funny because they're always like, "Can you pee in the cup?" I'm like, "I hate that. I just cannot do it. I don't mind over matter, just cannot." "Well, we're gonna wait for you to do that." I was like, "Okay." So I did it, and I remember the next day, in the morning, I got my coffee. It was like on the computer, and I was kind of like dial-up modem stuff, and it kicked off, and I'm like, "Seriously?" In the morning, I was so upset, and then my phone started ringing, and I answered it, and they're like, "Nadine, hey, we have some news for you. You're, like, very, very, very pregnant, and you need to come into our office," and I was like, "No, you told me I could never get pregnant. There's no way." "Yeah. Do you have work today?" I was like, "Yes." And they're like, "Well, we need to do a sonogram, make sure your baby's doing okay." And I was like, "My baby." I go, "Okay." So that started the journey. And then after I had my daughter, they said, once again, "You cannot get pregnant." So, like, that sank in again. I was like, "Why do they keep telling me no? Isn't it up to God? Why are they playing God with me?" But, I didn't get pregnant for the longest time and life changed and everything. And bam, 10 years later, I had a son. And it's like, so I can get pregnant. So I had to laugh at that. You know, my kids are 10 years apart. I always say that was not planned. Maybe in the higher ups it was planned, for that journey, but I'm happy with both kids. And I just found out I'm going to be grandma
Oh my
or Gigi. I want to be called Gigi. So I think
Lord.
we call my mom and grandma so much. It's kind of adapted into me, but I was always at a young age. If I have kids and then they have kids, I'm Gigi. I'm just going to be Gigi.
I love that.
Yeah. So, but going back through your journey, so did you started like a basis to help people out too, correct?
Yeah. So as I learned how to work with my own higher self and the Akashic records, and I could get messages, and I knew my channel was clear, because I feel like when you first start learning, it could be ego,
Yeah.
it could be shadow, it could be interference, not, you know what I mean? So I really worked on myself first. And as I went along, I realized there were other things that I missed in the beginning that might have been useful, like detox, parasite cleanses, and decalcifying our pineal gland so that we can get really clear messages from spirit. So the physical piece came in last. And I feel like had I had that in the beginning, I might have, had an easier route. I know a lot of people have talked about hormones with getting pregnant as well, and just like cutting out, some of the foods with hormones in it, and they all of a sudden had easier periods, things of that nature. I also did a nutritional detox and it took away all of my period pain. So I know, there's a whole lot to the nutrition piece. And like you said, you were working out, you lost all this weight, you got pregnant. Like, I feel like it's all connected, our mind, body, spirit. So in the beginning, I was all about the spirit part, like, let's connect in. But I kind of missed like I feel like I was dragging my body along, like, here, let's go play in the higher dimensions. But here you got to anchor it all down into the physical and find the density that sits in your body. So I kind of missed the boat on some of that in the beginning. So afterwards, I'm like, why didn't I do all of this then? Because it would have been so much easier. And I ended up writing a womb healing workbook because of that, because I felt like, had I known
Right.
all of mind, body, spirit, and common sense tells you when you're doing healing work, you're trying to unify the mind, body, spirit. But for some reason, I just didn't have all the details on how deeply I could go with the body part in the beginning. And nervous system work, like that too. My nervous system was a wreck. I had anxiety. I was like, I was so sensitive to energy, and I didn't know how to balance that and make it a superpower, instead of this just, I'm picking up on everything around me. And so, my brain's fried when I'm in public for too long, and I can't deal with big crowds. And so,
We need to talk about that one. And the listeners probably want to hear about this. And there's people out there in the world like, oh, there's no way. I hear this a lot with connecting to the higher up. Yes, there is. Let's talk about this. This is real. It may not be your time, but this is a real thing, and it will come to you at the right moment. But I love that we're talking about this, because it is about finding the energy and the wound healing that you were talking about and cleansing yourself. But the nervous system, I mean, it's weird because we pick up other people's energies. And, I'm not going to lie, I've been in the hospital. I have some medical stuff going on, but I'm a true warrior. I'm a fighter. And they admitted me, and I was like in there, and I started talking to like the nighttime nurse, and she's like, "So what do you do?" I go, "Well, I'm a photographer and I have a podcast, and I talk to people about their journeys, whether it's doctors, authors, life coaches, whatever it may be." But she said something interesting to me. "Ah, you're picking up everybody's energy and it's making you ill." And I go, "No." And it was the funniest thing, because she was right. And you have to learn to set those boundaries. I can talk to people, but I can't take so much in that it could be like a bit, and it's not a stress on me, it's a stress on my body. Like, does that make sense? And that's where the nervous system, it has a big enrollment. So, I mean, I'm not saying talking to people is causing me anxiety or depression, because it's not. But I think just going and diving into stories and stuff, it's fun for me. This is my passion in life. I love it. I'm going to continue it. But like, I've learned, hey, there's going to be a division line, because I'm not going to let energy take over my body. But when you say you can help with that, what is it that you're helping with?
So I when I do sessions with people, we usually connect in with their higher self, and then we talk to multidimensional aspects, are expanded versions of us that are not quite our higher self. So there are parallel realities, past lives, all the kinds of things that come into play. Some of that's a little too woo woo for some people, so we're
Yeah,
take what, then leave the
yeah,
rest. But so all of those things can play a role, and we can be picking up on other people's energies if we don't know how to kind of like shield or protect our own energy, and just do a normal, really, really simple clearing practices. I even do this with my daughter daily. So we go in and we just clear out any of the energy from the day, any energy. Or if I'm out, I always just set intentions that, whatever is going on in the collective, whatever is going on with everybody around me, that, it's my energy is just kind of like only bringing in good stuff, and kind of, like leaving everything that's not mine. Or if I'm connected to someone in session, I disconnect when we're done, unless they need me to hold space for them. And a lot of times I'll put a version of me in a bubble that's there to hold the space for them, but it's still not pulling on my energy. It's just that like support system. So kind of like you said, you're taking on everything, or it can make you sick because you're actually carrying stuff that is not ours. And people don't mean to do this, but sometimes if they're not aware, their energy is kind of like vampirish or succubus, and it will just latch on to anything that fits to it. They're not doing it on purpose. Some are, some aren't. People are not doing it on purpose. It's just they're not aware. And so, we have to kind of like, I feel like the cleaners. My daughter always, it's funny at night, she'll be like, yeah, the dragon with the vacuum. So she has a dragon with a vacuum who like sucks up all the ick from the day that might be around her energy field. And then it gets sent somewhere to transmute that's totally safe. And I've had other parents, because I also work with parents and their children, who've told me like they turn all the energy into a cow, and the stuffed animals help put in new good stuff for the night, and just really
Yeah.
cute things, that you can do with your kids, you can do for yourself. And it makes a huge difference on your energy level, on how you're feeling. Because I mean, we have solar activity going on, which is activating us, it's upgrading us. So whether you're spiritual or not, some of the collective and the like solar things that go on affect us energetically. And so if
Yeah.
I can always tell. I'm like, there's solar storms, something's going on, and then I'll get the notification, or somebody will post something, and I'm like, okay. So, extra magnesium, extra resources, electrolytes, water, things like that sometimes
Yes.
help if we're feeling a little down or we're drained. But I feel like I always work with people and tell them just to make sure whatever is, you're not taking on other people's energies. Whatever is yours is yours. And when I say shielding and protection, it's not coming from a fear-based anything. It's just coming from like, you wouldn't go hand a stranger your bank account card number. You just wouldn't do it. So,
Yeah.
good, you wouldn't just hand over your energy to someone. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and there are people that know how to take energy away from other people. So I had to learn that the hard way a few years back. So you always want to make sure you have that guarded, you're protected, and just day by day, and learn about it. I mean, for me, I wanted to because I saw this. It was something that I had to go through and just learn about it. So I know how to work with it and shield myself so nothing more would come. But, like I said, just hearing that nurse tell me, oh, yeah, basically, I'm doing it again. And I was like, crap, I got to learn this all over again. So, I mean, you never know and stuff. Um, you talked about clearing the past lives that people had. Can you go into more detail about that as well?
Yeah. So usually, if there's trauma or if there's healing work that needs to be done, there are past lives that are most of the time associated with that. So whatever we don't clear from a past life, we carry forward into the current life. This can look like karma. There's layers to the karmic realm as well. Some we can
Mm.
clear, some we kind of just have to work through. So sometimes when you're like, why do I have such bad luck, or the suffering's going on or something, some of the things are just things that we happen to, maybe we didn't know what we know now in a past life. So we kind of have to clean up our messes. But so for past lives, they come in like movies. So I see them like movies playing out with, it could be a lot of times if people have phobias or fears, and even some medical conditions are attributed to either how they died or something that happened in their past lives. One sticks out even with my daughter, where she was really afraid of going underwater when she was 3 at swimming lessons. She had a complete like breakdown, and we cleared a past life where she drowned it, and boom, right in the water, under the water. I had another lady who was held under a house, like she was like held in a house that collapsed on top of her. She had a birthmark on the spot that I actually saw the house collapse on her arm. So even birthmarks, yeah, there's a lot of synchronicities, and you can kind of see things, even like limiting beliefs and things that hold us back. Sometimes if somebody had been mangled or their face looked bad, they may have an issue with confidence and in how they look. There's things with certain businesses, or maybe you can't get your finances in order, and it's because something, you did something bad to someone in the past, or you stole money, you did something like that, and so you kind of got to clean up that road. So past life work is really, really powerful, to just kind of help bring in things that you may not understand why you're the way you are. And it's attributing to something that's not in the here and now. So you're never going to find it unless you can actually see it and clear it and heal it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, definitely. You gotta kind of dig and stuff. And I mean, people may be watching this and go, "Oh, I can do that on my own," but I feel like a roadblock could happen to them. And what if they don't remember it or know it? You know, is it something that, would they look at counselors too to help them to try to figure this out? Or is that something they can call you on and you can help them try to work it out?
Yeah, I can totally help. They can also go into their Akashic records themselves if they've practiced and they're aware of how to do that. A lot of times it's really good to have someone. I always say that, like, we can't always see everything for ourselves. We might even be a healer and we might even be doing work on other people. And there's still times that it's helpful to have that other, person, because sometimes it's so close to us that we don't actually see everything as easily as we see for others. Counseling is also, I'm all about any whatever therapy type thing, even ho'oponopono, a positive affirmation, like anything you can do that makes you feel good. I'm always like, go that route, because your higher self will guide you, or your intuition, whatever you want to call it, will guide you to what is your perfect next step.
You see, and that's so good. I love hearing that. That's amazing. So, I probably need to do that now. So many different life changes have happened in this past, I guess, week for me. So, I'm just kind of like following God's steps. It's like breathe, sit back, patience. And, it's going to give me time with hearing that. Like, I feel like a sense like everything is going to be okay, but, of course, when you lose a job, your brain is like, but the bills, they need to be paid. What am I going to do? What direction? And when you find something that you love and you're passionate about, and then poof goes away, I guess it's in your head. It's like, what can I do to gain that back? Because I was the most happiest doing that. I know I'm really good at it. And do I still look in that field, the industry, because I don't want to call it a midlife crisis for me. I mean, I'm only 45, but you know, as I climb up in age, it's like I want to be extremely happy in a new position. Can I still continue to do all these podcasts? Yes, I am, by the way. So, and everything is about time management and finding that. But also, I feel like, saying, we talk about on this show self love and finding yourself, building up self esteem, and all that. That's great, but there is a spiritual side, and to work on that as well. And I say that's probably the most healing thing I've ever been through. It gave me so much clarity to see the brighter light of what's to come and follow those footsteps. And it really does help. So, the other thing, when it comes to energy, because maybe there's some people, who are not familiar. We all have different energies that we go through. And, is it, can you explain to the listener what some of those would be like so they can kind of see the bigger picture of energy healing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, for any kind of healing work, there's going to
Uh-huh.
be ups and downs. It's going to be kind of a range. So usually you feel really positive, some tingles, some just like happy energies. If you're going through a shadow work type phase where you're clearing out density, sometimes there's emotions that may come up. Even with somatic work, you can just do simple hand motions on your chest, and I have full out bawled my eyes out from that. So, anytime you're working with energy from any capacity, and it doesn't have to be in the higher dimensional realms, there's kind of that extra sensory feeling. You're gonna have the tingles, you're gonna feel more, you're gonna be really, kind of tapped into, if you were super excited or like on a roller coaster, or you know what I mean, you're gonna be feeling, energy. but and like I said, it's that up and down scale. So you can have the really, high moments, and then sometimes as you're clearing out density, it'll dip down. But what I always say is the reason we do the work is because that dip leads to this new layer of joy, this new layer of happiness. I call it my love bubble. Like after I've processed emotion, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love everybody. It's like super silly and like corny, but I really, really feel like this new sense of self, this new sense of empowerment, and this freedom. And no matter what's going on, the world could be in chaos, it could be burning down. And like I see it, I can acknowledge it, I can have empathy for it, but I don't have to be in it. I can be in my own space.
Yes, I did that recently. I mean, I used to watch the news all the time, and that was the biggest thing that I thought was hurting my energy. I was giving too much of it. It felt brainwashing. It felt repetitive. And ever since I stopped watching the news, my life has been so less stressed, which is nice. I mean, the only stress I want is from my soap operas right now. I'm like, who's getting married to who? Who killed who? Like, and I've been like that ever since I was younger. So that's not going to change. But, it's funny because my mom will be like, well, they're current events and you need to stay up to date. And I go, well, if it was really bad, somebody would text me it or it would pop up on Facebook right away, like, be like, "Breaking news." I know with my computer, it's just a little bubble for the major stuff, and that's all I really need to see. I remember the last big news, and I was in denial, was Betty White's passing. And I was like, no, that can't be real. Like, there's no way. And I'm trying to find all these other sources to see if it was false news, but no, she really did pass. And it was, I wanted to know that that was breaking news. The Golden Girls, a lot of people grew up with that. So, but I think, also talking to people about knowing your energy level and how it relates to, everyday life is important because if you're not focused on that, maybe somebody saying, I don't believe in that stuff, there will come a part where, you could be sitting down after a long day at work. And I see this because I'm very empathic and I feel it. I feel it from other people. But if I go for karaoke and they only have it at bars, but I'm sitting there, you can see people like this or on their phone. You could tell there's so much stress in them that they don't know how to break away from that at times. There's other people that just want to talk. And if you're a good listener, just listen to them because that's the best medicine too. But going from there and learning to work on your energies, even by yourself. I know it's great to have help, and I strongly support that 100%. But if you can intertwine, even with your book and journaling, it will come out when you write and start learning about yourself and what you've been through in the past and where you're going in the future. You will see it's very spiritual and energy filled.
Absolutely.
But you know, it's just the spiritual gifts. I had my best friend say, I know your spiritual gift, but I can never tell you. And I was like, okay. And she goes, you'll find out in your own time. It took maybe over 10 years, but it did come. She was right, and not everybody knows that. So what would you tell to the person listening now about different spiritual gifts?
So we all have our superpowers, our talents. I feel like what you're drawn to is usually stuff you've done in your past life and you're a master of. So that, like you were saying, you want to do something that lights you up. Those things that you're like, oh, or the things too that you're like, I wish I could do that you see somebody doing sometimes are those little breadcrumbs. Your higher self is like, okay, let's follow this path. So I would say practicing with your clair gifts, There's all kinds of exercises online. Is a really good way to open up and strengthen, that connection, your intuitive flow. Also, like you mentioned about the news, so being really careful with what you are consuming. There can be, even brainwashing material in the news. It can be in content. It can even be in spiritual and galactic like texts that are out there. um
Mm.
so I always work with my subconscious, clearing out anything. I look at it like it's a room, so every night I clear out anything from the day, similar to the energy work I do with my daughter to clear stuff, just to kind of like keep everything really going in a positive direction. Because I feel like, so from the gift perspective, following the breadcrumbs is my best advice. And then practice. If you don't like tarot cards or oracle cards and you don't want to do that, you can do just simple practices with a deck of cards, like what's red and what's black, and put them down face down and just kind of practice that way. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can do automatic writing, where you sit down, you connect in with your intuition, and you just let your pen go. It may not even be words, it may be gibberish, but you're strengthening those muscles and those tools. And for the clairaudience ability, like, you can try to hear things that are outside the house. So you start with like one room and you're like, what can I hear outside the door? What can I hear outside the house? What can I hear outside the subdivision? What can I hear outside, the town?
Yeah.
But I will preface, when you open up your clairaudience and you get that, sometimes noises, all kinds of things are difficult to deal with. So I think some of our other clair senses are easier and more fun to play with first, because it's like once that's open, you're just like, okay, hold on. Sometimes I don't want to hear all of this.
Well, I tried that one time. I mean, this was many years ago, but I shut myself down into meditation, put paper and a pen in front of me. And I opened myself up to hear what the higher up would tell me. But the message I got was from somebody at work walking on a plank beam of wood that slipped and he died. And he's like, all he wanted to say was, I'm okay, mom. Please don't worry about me. And it scared me to death. I was like, why? I mean, he showed the vision. I see the wood, I see the plank, I saw the fall, but he's only trying to reach out to his mom. And I was writing this down and going, no, don't look it up. Don't look it up, Nadine. But I ended up because I was curious. And I think it was Minnesota that happened to somebody. And I'm like, oh crap. Like that was so real to me. And I was like, do I find the mom? I was like, no, 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 no. That's just too weird. I can't do that either. So instead, I took that energy and know what I know. I prayed for him to be able to pass over correctly and, give sense peace to mom, because I feel like his mom was like a high energy worrier all the time and she was broken, like besides herself. Of course, with any death, you would be if you lost a kiddo before you went. It's hard. But, I will sit back and go, why? Like, I hate asking why, but I do, because I was like, why was I chosen to get this message from somebody who's so far away? I mean, do you know?
Because that, like you said, you prayed for that soul to pass over, and sometimes they just want to tell us something. So earthbound spirits are not exactly the same as connecting in with our higher self. I think of it like a channel. When I'm connecting in with earthbound spirits, it's this little bitty shift in energy, so I can tell it's an earthbound
Yeah.
spirit, um like a higher dimensional spirit. They just need to tell somebody the message and get it out, and that's it. So what you did was exactly what you needed to do. When I first opened up my gifts, I had this guy saying, "Can anybody hear me? Hello." And I'm like inside, walking outside. I'm like, I don't know what is going on, but it was just, he just had this message he needed to say, and then he was fine. he was like in the in between. He didn't know what was going on, and he just needed to like share this thing before he felt like he could pass over, and then he was fine. So it's happened a couple of times to me in situations like that too. So I feel like it's very you were a very beautiful part of his passing, his journey. So and I feel
Yeah.
like yeah, I feel like that's a really cool story. Although sometimes we do get the things we don't like first. Like, well, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like you wouldn't really want the death of someone and that message coming through to be your first experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes in that way, but I feel like no matter what, as long as we're not in fear and we're just, if something comes through, we're just honoring whoever and praying and letting them, tell us what they need to tell us, then they go on their way. And a lot of times you don't hear from people like that again unless you're actively kind of in the mediumship arena. But it is just the opening up of that channel.
You see, and that's the different thing. I've had two best friends pass. And as much as, I know about my spiritual gifts, I would be like, oh, come and talk to me and da da da. It doesn't happen that way, and it never will. And you come to terms with that. But, it was a year from my friend passing, but it was the weirdest thing because I was asleep and it was probably towards morning before I had to wake up. And I hear, "I'm so proud of you." Because, I was just like, it felt like it was her. It felt like she was right there. And, with Keep Hope Alive, for the past 5 years talking to her, I wish we could be heard. These doctors don't listen. And we even talk about different topics, relationships, love. And it was funny because she was always like, I need a cigarette. I'm not a smoker, but yeah, those are the fun times that it's like we were able to do that. And with starting Keep Hope Alive, there was 2 things that happened in my life. "Do you have a podcast? I just want to hear you online," and then just listening to somebody and let them talk about their pain and what they've been through. I had blessings come through that, which was a miracle, and here I am today continuing this pattern to let people be heard. But it's also about the truth of the matter of what's really in this world because judgment is not cool. People can judge all the time and be like, just mark you. Oh, well, you can talk to the higher up spirits, and that's just crazy. There has to be something mentally wrong with you. I'm sorry, I was chosen. There is nothing wrong with me. And it talks about that stuff in the Bible too. So don't judge people just because we got gifted with an ability. That's how I look at it. If I'm here to help people, that is my purpose and I'm gonna use it. So
Yeah.
so but
And I feel like lots of people, everyone has their gifts. And so if they don't shut it down, and if we don't have our kids shut it down in childhood, then everybody's going to be more in tuned and more connected and understand where you're coming from because they're going to be able to relate a little bit. And I feel like you said, there's so many things, in the Bible and religion that it piggybacks some of the energy work,
yeah,
like some the masters, Jesus, like this, the miracles that were happening, some of that has to do with just connecting in. So, and from my perspective, I feel like we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. Like you said, don't judge, just do
yeah.
your little arena and like let everyone else kind of go where they need to go.
Yeah, because these are just gifts given to us, you know? Yeah, somebody else can be totally 180 from us, but they're not going to see it that way. I mean, at all, that was a hard lesson to learn. And, because I've learned that I'm spiritual, there's different things. Yes, I go to church. I love going to church. It gives me this empowerment, good feeling to start off my week. But there's also a part of me that will like to go to like a light worker thing because the meditation is like prayer, but it's a stronger prayer. And really, I didn't know how to explain that to people. You just have to go through it, I think is the best thing. But I felt that my prayer was for the whole world. And at the time, it was just, I focused on teachers teaching our kids, and it was like overlooking everything. And it was the most beautiful feeling in the world. Now, the other thing is I grew up with epilepsy. Most of my seizures, I've jumped outside of my body and stayed with my body. I remember working at Macy's. I had a seizure, but I got myself to the bathroom and I guess I fell and hit my head against the toilet or something because I was on the outside looking in and seeing our security officer, "Nadine, don't die on us, come back." And I was like, "Why is she slapping me so hard? I'm right here." Like, it was comical. I wouldn't leave my body. There is no way. And she was in a panic. And I just did not know how to be like, "I'm okay, like I'm here." I didn't know how to go back into my body, but that's something that, yeah, that's a whole nother topic and podcast, but it's a different feeling. Um, there's another time, yes, I tried an edible because they said it was good for epilepsy. No, it's not. I felt like I died that day too, and I jumped out and could feel myself jump back in. And I remember saying, I'm not ready. I'm here to be with my kids." And I named their full names and then bam, right back in my body. And I'm like, "Oh, it's like, I think I died and I'm back." And it was just the weirdest feeling. But for those who don't know or see or believe in the spiritual realm of things, it's really real. God's got our back. Everybody's got our back. There's different things that we'll all experience in life. And, you know, with your book that you've done, I'm going to attach it to the website because I do have a store. I want people to read that. I saw the picture, the cover, and I'm like, "Ooh, yes." I want you to tell us about your book.
Okay, so my book is called Portal to Heaven: Opening Up Your Magic with Womb Healing. It's on Amazon. The Kindle is still 99 cents. And then if you want the paperback, it's 14.99. So it is my all everything I've learned along the way. All of the, like I said, the detox, the somatic work, nervous system work, there's journal prompts, there's stuff about emotional healing, connecting to your divine feminine, womb healing. Everything I've done along the way, there's a little bit about it. And then there's a 21-day roadmap that you just has a few things, maybe 20 minutes, half hour, some days only 5 minutes to do every day, because 21 days you can anchor in a habit. Once that habit's anchored in, it becomes a way of life. And so if we could just spend a couple minutes every day, do a walking meditation, do a journal prompt, do some kind of self-care routine, we will be happier and healthier. And it's super simple stuff. People are busy. I have a kid. When you have children, like, nobody has hours and hours to do this, but the small daily practices are really beneficial. And so I didn't know half the stuff I knew in the beginning of my journey, and I didn't feel like there was a little like handbook of everything. And so I wanted to create something that helped me in every facet along the way.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I definitely want to get your book, and I will be buying that very soon. So I love hearing that. Did you ever consider putting it on Audible?
I haven't, but I could do that. I didn't even think about that. There's a lot of
Yeah,
links. So there's a QR code where you can, all the links are in the QR code because of the meditations, and just some of the short videos on nervous system work and somatic work, and even clear exercise gifts. So there's quite a few, links in there that I'm not sure how that would attribute to the Audible portion, but the
gotcha.
chapter totally work for that, because each chapter after your 21-day roadmap with all the links and stuff has, kind of the longer version of the information.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And it's just amazing. As many people that have been on this show, I learned something new from everybody. And, I'm not gonna lie here. There's sometimes I was like, when I'm talking to them and I haven't tried like what their specialty is, and I'm going to use this one person I interviewed who was a hypnotherapist. I think that's how you say it. I was like thinking, yeah, there is no way I'm going to fall asleep to him talking. Oh, bull crap on my end. I fell asleep right away. I was like, "How did he do that?" Like, like, I was so surprised, but, my doctors for my chronic pain for the past 5 years, they're like, "We're putting you on Ambien," which that's another story on end, but, that was the one thing that always got me to sleep, and when I don't have medicine, I'm trying to teach myself to be off of that right now. I'll listen to the meditation music on YouTube for like 3 hours and fall asleep to that, but having the both, have him talk and then do the meditation, maybe I don't even need the meditation music. It's just that video, I was like, "That is amazing how somebody can help you out that much," you know? So, there's good in everything we do and learn. So what does your future look like? Are you going to continue to go and write more books or
Yes, yes, I have more books coming. I want to teach the Akashic Records. I'm teaching some classes at a local healing center for the kind of in connection with the womb healing book. So some online classes and courses, and then my regular sessions and my DNA activations are still available on my scheduler. So kind of just continuing the same, and then I want to expand out, probably creating a membership type space sometime in 2024 as well. So lots of good stuff coming for sure for me that I'm happy to share, with the world, with a bigger audience, with whoever it resonates with.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like 2024 is going to be a great year for people, getting back on their feet. When we went through COVID, we're still, I hate to say it, we're still trying to catch up from that point. But I think as we move farther to 2025 and stuff, we're learning new things. And, I'm not a big fan of AI right now. I'm going to just be honest. I was like, I feel like that TV show that came on Under the Dome, we're going to be caught in this bubble and things are going to be doing for us, pretty soon. That it's going to make the world and people lazy. And still, no, you need people to go out there and promote your business. You don't need your cell phone to promote your business and have them write a letter. Yeah, it's easier, but is it coming from the heart and the experience? That's how I look at it. So I don't mind being opinionated here.
Yeah,
So
COVID was like a collective traumatic experience we all went through. And we do need, community and face to face stuff. And I feel like we're all kind of a little detached. I want to bring more of that about the in person connections, the conversations like this,
good
just the
one.
people feeling like they have, their tribes. So I can definitely relate to that. I feel like I want to be on the higher timeline where if AI is here, it's to help us to a certain point, but it's not taking away our sentient, goals, plans, lives.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. And I already had a talk with my son, it was like, you're 11 years old. You have to write like essays and stuff for school. I go, if I ever catch you using your phone and AI to write a paper, I go, I pray to God your teachers are so smart to catch this. I go, you need to do it like how mom used to do it back in the day. Let it come from you, your heart, what you learned, and put it on paper. And he's like, yes, ma'am. And that made me feel good. But like, I think there's been so many different studies on the different technology where you're watching TikTok and it's swipe, 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 Is that what we're going to be doing in life in the future is just trying to get through things so fast, I said there's not enough hours in the day to do our jobs sometimes, and we wish we were cloned. So, but I think every day is a day that you make progress, and it's just a day, you know? We're gonna take our time and make sure that it's done right and perfect, even if we're working for somebody, if we're working for ourselves, you know, is it that we can make it a rememberable, you know, experience. You know, I run my company as a photographer. I do look at podcasting as a company already because of all the people that want to come on the show. And I'm just like, okay, well, I got this too, you know, but getting yourself out there and being yourself and truthful, that's
Mhm.
just the pride and joy in it. So, but yeah, I know I have so many other questions for you. I mean, I love that you have the book out there, that you're helping people and find it. I love what you told us about, like, being with your daughter and it was a stuffed animal, right? Like, cleaning and stuff. That is
Yeah.
very important, you know, you wanna have your safe space too. So, um, that is another thing. People are like, "Well, why are you saging this and that?" You know, it's like, well, I know it helps calm down energy, but also it smells pretty good, you know? I was in Spencer's and when I was checking out for my daughter's Christmas gift, you could smell all the different incense and sage and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I miss that. That smells so good to me. So, but definitely. Is there anything else that I did not cover with you that you think would be so important for the listeners to know?
Just that you brought up sage, and I will say that stuff like that, even just clearing out clutter and clearing out spaces in your house, can make you feel like $1,000,000. Like a couple times a year, I'm like going crazy. We're cleaning every closet. We're washing down walls. That kind of stuff is really, really good for your energy too. So, other than that, I think we kind of covered everything.
Yay! So definitely, I want to thank you for coming on our show. I also want to thank our other sponsors on Keep Hope Alive podcast. As we mentioned, we have lifeonrecord.com, which is our interactive guest book for events. You can look them up. And as I told you guys, the plans only start for $99 and you get that phone number for a year. Also, if you have any questions for Julie, I have a phone number through them. You can leave her a message. I will send it to her so she has that and can reply. But that phone number is 833-780 HOPE, which is I believe 4673. Yeah. I hope I said that right. Then we have bridalshowsinc.com. If you are in the Dallas Fort Worth area planning an event, they have about 5 different trade shows out of the year that you can go meet your vendors, get to learn what they do, get the pricing, and then book them because they're really good vendors. So check them out as well. Then we have milesandsmilesevents.com. Deborah Rose is the main contact there. Her background is investigation. She also is a handwriting analyst and a lipstick reader, and she is 100% accurate. And I've seen her work at a couple events, and you know, for me, I was like, I'd rather just hang out with Deborah Rose all day. Because it was that fun and that good. So check her out for booking or anything else for her. She's amazing. Then we have Bryce Harney. That is www.brycemagic.com. He is a magician and a mind mentalist. He is traveling all over the United States right now, doing his shows. He's been on TV a lot. He's just a nice, amazing guy. Look at him if you are needing him for any kind of event. Then we have richmondpunch.net. He graduated from the Juilliards. He's a violinist. He has played in front of 1 million people before. He's been on 2, I guess, Lifetime shows for the background for violin and stuff, but he's amazing. Then our last one is TK Hair Salon in Plano, Texas. They do everything from hair coloring, men's cuts, women, children, and they are amazing at what they do. They're kind, they're caring, they get to know you as a person and design the hair the way it should look on you. So, but other than that, wherever you find your podcast, you'll be able to find Keep Hope Alive. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. There is a little voicemail on the website that you can leave us. If there is a certain topic you want us to talk about, we will do that as well. But Happy New Year to you, Julie, and everybody else. Thank you so much for being on our show. And this is a good time to cleanse and bring in the new year, too. So,
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and happy New Year to everyone as well.
oh, thank you. Until next time, guys, mwah, love and light. Have a great day.